Guys, and welcome back to the Spanish learning portion of my blog, where I'm reviewing different learning resources and things that I've studied in the past month and a half in preparation for my trip to Mexico, which is just about a month away. It's a little under a month away. There's my cat Stinky. Say hi, Stinkums. How you doing? There you are. Oh, that's fun. Anyway, I'm sitting here on my sofa. This is the Spanish language only, no English, so just first language, primary language Spanish books for children. That I've been reading. Some of these are pretty juvenile. Some of these are for, this one, for example, is for second and third grade. It's considered level 4. So that means that it is 7 to 9 years old, which is quite honestly about the level of my Spanish. Maybe a little bit better. I don't know. I mean, I do know a lot of adult vocabulary too. You can see these have nice pictures. That's always fun. It's got some good Spanish. David se sentó en el banco y miró el inicio del partido. El público vitoreaba. There you go. Again, you guys can tell my pronunciation of Spanish is absolutely piss poor, but my understanding of written and spoken Spanish is pretty high, considering that I never studied this language other than teaching myself. So I'm looking forward to going to Mexico and just immersing myself for a week, hopefully giving myself the confidence to just speak Spanish to everyone like a moron when I get back to New York. And I'm pretty sure if I start speaking Spanish like a moron to everybody once I get back to New York, I would think within 3 or 6 months I'll be pretty fluent. Honestly, compared to Chinese, it's a really easy language. Sorry to say that for those who are struggling with Spanish. Other than the conjugations of the verbs, my understanding of written Spanish, really, I've had very few issues during the process other than memorizing vocabulary. Whereas studying Chinese languages, for example, which you guys can see in some of my other sections of my blog, or studying Urdu as I'm learning the script, on and on. Spanish comparatively is a very simple language to learn from English. So that said, let's look at some resources. We've got Compañeros en el Fútbol. That's fun. We've got Cuentos Musicales. This was a very annoying kids book that I've been trying to sell on my Amazon or eBay store for years, and unfortunately it's not listed. It's from South America somewhere. I'll probably just wind up putting this on the street or giving this to somebody or selling it on Craigslist as part of a collection of Spanish books or something. But this is cute. The Spanish was pretty easy. I didn't have any problem. This book is cute. It's called El Regalo Mágico. And it's a story about a kid from Dominican Republic whose uncle gives him a magic conch shell. And whenever he's missing his friends from home, he can put the conch shell to his ear, and instead of just hearing the ocean and stuff, I think he hears his friends and stuff too. And then, much to his surprise, he also discovers when he's in Dominican Republic and he's missing his friends from the U.S. that he's made since his family moved to New York, he actually can put the shell to his ear and he can magically hear his friends from New York. It's pretty neat. This is called Del Campo al Pueblo. This is a actually book for the New York City school system from the 1960s or 70s. To learn Spanish, as Spanish taught as a first language, so this is from a bilingual curriculum. This was definitely not for second language learners. This book is entirely in Spanish. I highlighted some of it, but it has cute pictures. The Spanish is probably at a middle school level. Really, I had very few issues understanding anything in this book. It was fun. I bought this book for $1 on the street. These are some very juvenile kid stuff, but this is fun. This is Olivia. I think she's a French pig, but this is the Spanish version of this, and actually, I think it's an English language cartoon too. But this is Olivia Vende Galletas. She sells cookies. And she's having a Girl Scout cookie contest with some girl from her class, but she doesn't realize that the girl from her class is like incredibly adept at selling Girl Scout cookies, and Olivia just wants to sell to her family member, so of course she loses the contest. But in the process, she learns a big and wonderful lesson about life or something like that. This book, you can see the Spanish is... you can check it out real quick. It's pretty simple for those of you who read Spanish. The illustrations are charming. These kind of books are great. They're super thin. You can read them in 10 minutes. They're wonderful. This is the very first book that I ever tried to teach myself Spanish from, other than a teach yourself textbook. This is La Princesa Vestida con una bolsa de papel. And you can see at first when I was learning Spanish here, I went through and highlighted the words I did not understand that were not cognates or that were a bit tough. For example, lujosos vestidos, which it turns out means luxurious clothes. I did not know what that meant at the time, so I had to look it up in a dictionary. This is a very cute story about a princess and a dragon comes and steals her boyfriend and her fiancé and burns up the castle and eats all the horses, and he burns off her clothing, and she has to dress herself in a paper bag. Obviously it's G-rated because she's completely naked here, and look, no boobies, but that's for kids. So anyway, she dresses herself in a paper bag, and she has to go find the dragon, and he's a very conceited dragon, and she tricks him, etc., etc. You can see these were the words at the time when I first started studying that I didn't understand. So even as an absolute beginner, with no knowledge whatsoever of Spanish, the very first week I decided I was going to try to learn Spanish a couple years ago when I was studying here and there, just whenever I felt like it, with no agenda, and I would drop it for 6 months and then pick it up again. Already, I mean, any word that's not underlined here was a word that I pretty much understood because it was probably similar to French, which I learned as a kid, or because I was able to figure it out from context. So that just gives you an idea, kind of. This is Corduroy. It's a very famous English language children's book. This is the Spanish edition. I picked it up for $1 somewhere. I don't remember. Oh, at the Strand, in fact. There's a price tag for the Strand. Very fun. So this is cute. Wonderful illustrations. This is an award-winning children's book from the 50s, I think. 1968, actually. My battery is going to die on this phone soon, so I'm going to have to make this the last video I shoot tonight. This is a series of books by this lady, Karen Herlin Spinelli. She is not Spanish, I don't think, but she writes in Spanish. So it's an Italian last name. But anyway, these are charming. She's an artist and a writer, and all of her books have to do with environmental pollution and how people can help to clean up the environment. These are 4 of them I picked up at the Strand. They're really fun. These are fast reads. The Spanish is at a very basic elementary school level. The artwork is really charming. This is a Jehovah's Witness book that I found on the street in recycling, designed to teach Jehovah's Witnesses Spanish so they can go out and convince you to accept Jesus Christ as your Savior. This is the science fiction book that I read. This was just a little grammar book for kids, by the way, for children to learn how to read. But all of the reading is just proselytizing how Jesus is great and God is great, and we're learning to read just so you can read the Bible and stuff. It's wonderful. This is Año Cero, Year Zero, and this is all about kind of really cool theories about Atlantis and stuff like that. Definitely way over my head Spanish-wise. I mean, it's like very advanced Spanish, and I'm like, at very basic Spanish. This magazine is much more at my level. This is Notas para Ti, which is a ridiculous teeny bopper 12-year-old let's look at Justin Bieber magazine. I learned an awful lot more than I ever wanted to know about Justin Bieber and all those Disney tweens and Selena Gomez and all these nutbags. I learned a lot about Katy Perry, who is lovely, and all these people, and I learned it in Spanish, which was really fun. This is Juan y los frijoles mágicos, and this is basically Juan and Jack and the Beanstalk, but in Spanish. Great artwork. Really charming retelling of the story in Spanish. I understood almost everything, and very, very cool. It's from the Barefoot en Español series for kids. Last but not least, almost last but not least, this is Levanta las Tapitas Castillos, and it's basically a cartoon hardcover pop-up book for children about castles, and you open things and it tells you about the roof of the castle and the drawbridge and how they built the walls and stuff. It's all in Spanish. There's no English. It's probably from Spain, I would imagine, because there are no castles in actually it's from England, but it was probably designed for the Spanish market because there's no castles in Mexico or anything. Last but not least, my most favorite kids book I've read so far, El Capitán Calzoncillos y el Terrorífico Retorno de Cacapipi. And this one was just really awesome. The artwork is ridiculous. The story, this one is great because it's actually more story, less artwork. I mean, you can see on each page is pretty much like this. So it's like 2/3 story, 1/3 artwork, but the artwork really helps to keep it going. The level of Spanish was like right at my level with this book. I read this without a dictionary. I read all these books without a dictionary. In fact, I recommend reading any primary language sources without a dictionary when you're doing this, which actually comes from a very famous polyglot whose book I read, which I'm not going to talk about right now, but she actually taught herself to read something like 17 different languages just by reading. And she started with languages that were similar to her own and branched out and branched out and branched out and branched out. But she very rarely used a dictionary. She just bombarded herself with thousands of pages of reading, and eventually she was able to figure out how the language was put together. And then when she went to a dictionary at a later point, it just helped her to refine. And I think that is possible to do if the script of the language is similar to the script of the language you already read. For example, the Spanish alphabet, for the most part, other than the ñ and the the ly and all that stuff, is the same as English. So anyway, that's a whole other conversation. Thank you for watching this particular section, which talked about the kids' books I've been reading in Spanish without any English subtitles or any dual language or anything. Look for some more videos from me in just a moment. In fact, talk to you guys soon. Thanks. Bye.